Well, hello there.
Hi, how are you?
So it's Joe,
Yes, it is.
and everyone wants to know about JVK, including me.
Well, I'm here to tell all.
First thing I was curious about is you guys call yourselves a Boston band. Are you actually from the city of Boston?
Yeah, so it's pretty interesting. So I'm from the surrounding area, kind of closer to Lowell. But the majority of the band do live in like the Boston area. But we're kind of like it's more like Boston adjacent, where it's like if Boston's here, we're kind of like around it in the middle. We're everywhere.
So Lowell, what's that, like Worcester County? No, that's
Mm,
north of Worcester
That's
County.
Middlesex County.
Middlesex, right,
Yeah,
right.
right.
Yeah, Lowell's one of those places. Jack Kerouac's from Lowell. It's one of those places that it's going to be huge someday. It's like Worcester.
Yeah, it's really coming up. It definitely is coming up. I drive through Lowell a lot, and like you can see all the improvements that they're making to make it better.
So you're from that area, and the rest of the band is from whereabouts?
Yes, so our bassist is from Saugus, our drummer's from Salem, and actually the other guitarist, Atticus, he's from Pittsburgh, but he lives with me. And our other guitarist, Sid, is from South Dakota, but they live in Boston.
That explains
But,
Picklesburg. We're going to talk
yep.
about Picklesburg because I lived there for 5 years, and I was like, how the hell did they ever get on
Oh, did
that?
you really? That's amazing. I
Yes.
love Pittsburgh. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, we're going to definitely get into that. So you guys are all, I'm thinking, like early 20s.
I'm the youngest. I'm 20.
20. Wow. And and before we talk about when the band formed, when did you start listening to music? Were you like a young teenager when you first started discovering things you liked?
I know I was really, really young. I would say I really started getting into like my first love was kind of like musical theater and pop music when I would say like 6, 7. I started really singing when I was 9 and taking voice lessons around then. Started playing guitar when I was 10, bass when I was 12. I've been in band since I was 11. So it's really always been like I would say almost over a year now. Oh, not over a year, over sorry, morning brain. Over yeah, like 12,
10
13
years.
now.
Wow.
Yeah, decades.
It's amazing. So you started playing guitar and bass. And when did you start writing? Did you start writing on an instrument?
I started writing so basically so when I play guitar, I don't shred. I don't do anything crazy. I just kind of I learned to play guitar as a vessel to write songs. So I started writing
Chords.
songs. Yeah. So I started writing songs when I was about 12 with like the last project I was in. And we basically because like we're like it was our first time because we were basically like my old band we formed throughout this like music school and they were like, well, you need to write originals. And I was like, well, I guess I gotta learn how to write originals. And I've been doing it ever since. Like it's like my first love. I'm a lyricist above all. I absolutely love it.
A music school? What kind of a music school?
It was like a rock camp. It was like basically one of those things where it was like in the North Shore area, I was where I was doing lessons and my dad was like, I signed you up for rock school. You're joining a band today. And I was like, all right, word. I was like, let's do it. And then the rest is history from there. So it's basically you get put in like a band with a bunch of kids you don't know and play a few songs. And then luckily enough, we kind of started to form and develop our sound outside of that. So we were doing like, those weekly rehearsals and everything. And then we got to a point where we're like, well, we should start writing original music. And that then I just literally sat down and would just try to write anything and everything I possibly could.
How old were you when you were doing this?
12.
12. Wow. So, where was the rock school out of curiosity?
It was in Danvers, the Music Connection.
Danvers, Mass. Right.
Mm-hmm.
North Shore. I'm pretty familiar. I grew up in Massachusetts, so I'm familiar with the area.
Okay, yeah.
Um, so the people that you started playing with at a young age, do you play with any of them anymore? Of you, like you said, you had a previous band. Was that your
Yeah, so
first band?
it was my second band. My first one we just did like covers throughout our middle school, but then that was my first band. I actually still play with the lead guitarist at that band. We've been best friends ever since. So that was 8 years ago now. And sometimes like she'll play with us with JVK, which is really, really cool.
So she is not a permanent member of the band?
She it's like one of those things where it's like she's always because it's like our schedules can sometimes like with the actual like band will really conflict sometimes And she's always just like, whenever someone can't make it, she's always on the ready. She's filled it on for like each person on guitar and bass, and she's just always there. So she is a permanent member, I would say.
I've
Just
watched a lot of videos of you, and I think I know who you're talking about. She plays, what's her name, by the way?
Kayla.
Kayla. She plays a lot of lead.
Yeah, she has the
Yeah,
guitar behind her head.
she's
That's
good.
her.
She's
Yeah, she's
good.
really
She's
good.
good. Both those guitar players that you have, I've seen are pretty good.
Thank
Real
you.
good. Um, so when did now, first of all, JVK, how did you come up with that? And was the band already formed when you came up with that name?
Yeah, so JVK is my initials. And I basically started it after I started during COVID, because the band that I was in before was kind of previously like, everyone was like very COVID cautious with that, which absolutely. But me personally, I just am always like, when can we practice? When can we get together? We'll COVID test. We'll do that, like, whatever. But it was kind of falling apart. And so I was like, well, I need something. I'm like, why don't I start my own band? And I kept thinking of names. I was kept thinking of like stuff, and I was just kind of like it wasn't resonate with me at all. So I was like, why don't I just use like JVK? Flows off the tongue well, works. And I started writing. I use all my songs for that, but I recorded my first song, that Bye Bye. That was the first single I ever released. And I wrote it and got it done in like 2 weeks with the producer I was working with. He was incredible. And so that was around like late 2020, early 2021.
I know the band's really a young, new band.
Yeah.
Who are the core members? Why don't you tell us that also, just so I'll know? Because
Yeah.
it's hard to find a lot of information on your band, by the way. I don't know if you're doing that on purpose, but it's kind of a secret. I don't know who you record with. I don't know who's in the band. I don't know anything. I just watch
I
the
know.
videos and hear the music.
It's a work in progress for sure. So I would say, like, if anyone's the core member, it's me, lead singer Joe. And then the rest of the band, it's very like come and go. But I would say the ones that are definitely the core members, I would say, is Alex, our bassist, Atticus, our guitarist, and Troy, our drummer.
Okay, so because I've seen you have as many as 5 people on stage, so
Yeah,
it
they're
kind of
always interchanging.
right, but it's pretty much kind of a solo project.
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay,
It's a
I'm
solo
learning.
project. It's kind of like, the best way I can kind of explain it is that, like, with like, like Maroon 5, it's like, Adam Levine, but it's a band. And it's kind of like, so it's like, obviously it's like the main thing is going to be like, Adam Levine, but he's never not giving like the spotlight, sharing the spotlight with the rest of the band, and always trying to put that in the forefront as well.
What about the musical direction? Because I hear a lot of different things. I was listening this morning to Hello Again, this live version you did, and I got a total 70s Sabbathy vibe. But then sometimes I hear like a new metal vibe. Then I hear hardcore. I hear a lot of different things. So what's your musical direction that you were going for? Was there an influence that led
It's
you in this direction?
it's very so I'm very versatile when it comes to like what I listen to. I listen to a wide variety of a million different things. And for a while I was kind of like, I should just be writing hard rock music. But then I would find myself writing like pop songs, and then I'd find myself writing songs that were like metal adjacent. We've been writing myself like finding all these different things, and like the best thing I could do for myself as a songwriter was just letting it come through and be like, not like having like, don't, it's like, for a while I was like, oh, don't write that because that's not what you want to do. I'm like, well, I'm writing it for a reason. It's coming to my head for a reason. So it's kind of been one of those things. We've been joking recently and saying that our genre is JV core, because it's just so all over the place, and that it's like you
Cool.
don't know what it means. That's just been like an ongoing joke that we've had for a while. But I really like, I don't know, because especially with, I feel like with the new EP, it is very all over the place. Like each song has a different influence, and that's part of the reason why I called it like, who is JVK, because it's all represents what I stand for lyrically, and it's all over the place musically, and I'm a very, manic all over the place person. But being super, super honest.
So you didn't really have a definite music direction. You just kind of like just rolled with it.
Yeah.
Um, Hello Again, was that the first recording that you did?
Yeah, so Hello Again was the first body of work I ever put out in terms of an EP. And I recorded that. Yeah, we record with all the same person. His name's Ricky Cravey. He's incredible, like so incredible. We record everything out of his basement. He makes it sound so professional and so just incredibly amazing.
Where's he located?
In Danvers.
Danvers.
Mhm.
I saw that. We'll get back to that in a sec. Well, was Hello Again? You guys had already been playing a bunch of shows before you did Hello Again, right?
Actually, no, the EP kind of came out. It was a mix of both. It was like a little bit of we had played a few shows at the time, but it had been in the works for years. Like I had been recording that EP for about like over a year at that point. But we had only really played a handful of shows in between those times. And then once kind of the EP came out, we really just hit the ground running and started playing as many shows as possible.
So your first show was probably 2021.
Yeah, it was February 2021 at O'Brien's.
Wow. Oh yeah, I wanted to ask you about that because I saw or read somewhere that that show sold out. How did you do that?
It was I'm kind of surprised by that too. We got put on with a bunch of incredible artists that kind of like had already established a name for themselves. But and we got a Friday night too, which like I've tried to book a Friday night at O'Brien's again. It's not easy. They always have it booked out. But so I remember I'm very hell bent on getting gigs. So I feel like that's one of the biggest things that's really like get yourself out there, you know. And I just remember like I was just emailing people like crazy, whether it was someone's basement, whether it was like, you know, a dive bar, whether it was whatever. I was just constantly sending out emails and badgering people. And luckily enough, they reached out and they were like, oh, what about this show? And I remember calling my mom, like, I got my first show. And she was like, how? And I was like, I don't know. I was just did.
So you're
And
doing it all
Mhm.
yourself.
Yeah.
Wow. So do you remember who the bands were that you played with at O'Brien's?
Yeah, it was The Valley, Paper Lady, which I love Paper Lady. She's so cool. Like the band itself is just like I actually saw them recently and they were incredible. And this other band, What For?
And the place sold out.
Sold out. I was shocked.
Did you guys have merch or anything?
I didn't have anything. We just showed up and people were coming up. They're like, who are you? They're like, look, I've never seen you before. I'm like, well, it's our first show. And they're like, really? You guys sound like you've been together for years. I'm like, no, we just got together 2 months ago. Like it was crazy.
Well, anyone that doesn't believe in TikTok, they should, from my perspective, that's how I found you. I
Yeah.
saw you on TikTok and I was like, he's from Boston? Who is this? Because I think I know everyone in the Boston scene. Of course, I
Right.
don't, but I think I do. And I
Right.
was like blown away. And then you told me that you're a singer, and I started watching all your videos. So that's how it works. It's like an organic kind of thing, you know,
Yeah.
without having a big push. You guys don't have a manager, you don't have a label, you don't have anything, right? You just
We do have a
you.
manager.
You
She
do.
was actually the one that she's based in the Berkeley area. She just graduated Berkeley. But she's our manager, but she's not part of like a company or anything. She just does like freelance.
That's what you need. You need a friend or somebody
Exactly.
that, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I know I managed bands when I was done working at record labels, I started managing bands, and it's tough when you're all alone out there doing it. But if you have a band with an attitude like you, it's good because I could tell you're hungry. Are you in like college right now?
No, I'm not doing. I went to Salem State for a little bit for one semester, dropped out. I basically dropped out to start JVK, and I was like finding members of the band as I was like preparing myself to drop out. And then I tried to do some online school. That wasn't for me. And so I've been working like part jobs ever since. But more recently, I made the switch to just make this like the main focus and priority, just working, 10, 12-hour days, just constantly booking and playing shows. Like that's the main focus right now.
You're going for it.
I am.
You got a van yet?
I have a huge car, which, but I keep telling my family, I'm like, I need a van. I need a van. So you're not getting a van. It's a gas guzzler. I'm like, I need a van. I keep trying. I'll hopefully get them to help me to that point to get me a van. But right now I have a huge car, which works.
This is a very bold prediction I'm going to make, but I see you in that van driving around America in the next couple of years.
Yeah.
I think you know what you need to do. It's weird. I don't often feel that way about younger people, like they can figure it out, but it seems like you've got it figured out.
Thank you.
You went to Danvers, you recorded Hello Again,
Mhm.
and this guy, does he do a lot of other band? What was his name again?
Ricky Kraby. He's in a lot of different bands. He's in bands The Modern Faces, Store Accident, Parachute Club. He used to be in this other band. He's back and forth in this other band, Hi-Fi. He does it all. Like when I tell you he does it all, he does it all. It's crazy.
And you immediately connected with him on how you wanted to get this done.
He just understood the vision. Like I remember just like I went to him with my demos, and all with the Hello Again EP, it was just me and him playing all the instruments. I didn't have the band at that time for the
Oh,
record. Yeah. And he did drums for everything and lead guitar for everything. And we did like a mix of everything else. And he just got it. Like it came out like way beyond anything I could have ever expected for it.
oh, so this is your project. I get it. Not that I didn't get it before, but you recorded the instruments with a producer. That's it's hardcore. Now, when Hello Again came out, I noticed that you guys played on WERS,
That
which
was
is a
amazing.
great thing to do in Boston. How did that come together? Did you just call them and say, we want to play on your radio station?
Like essentially, they had like a submission form, and my dad, he had been like, you have to get on WERS, you have to. Like he was like getting it into my head, reminding me like daily. And so I looked it up and I put in a submission form, and even I can't tell if it was from the submission form or if they just found me, because it was like a really quick response. And they came to me and they also did a review of the entire EP and then had me on the show. And it was so much fun. Like it was so cool.
Yeah, I watched that. There's a 9-minute version of it. I don't know if that's the whole show, but it's on YouTube. I
Yeah.
found that. So after the O'Brien's gig and you did that gig and you had Hello Again out, was there a lot of other gigs that you did before you played Picklesburg? I can't wait to talk about that.
So
But
yeah, there was a lot of gigs we did. We essentially like throughout last summer we played like 30 shows. I just kept booking and saying yes to every single opportunity. And I was just really going for it. I'm pretty sure we did like about like 20 30 shows throughout the entire summer. We were playing in different states. We played a lot in like upstate New York and Albany. We like kind of developed a name there. We were playing in Maine, New Hampshire, Philly, and we were kind of like staying within like that Northeast area. And but yeah, and then Picklesburg was the big one. That was the longest drive I'd ever done for a show.
so Atticus is the drummer,
Guitarist.
guitar player. So Atticus is from Pittsburgh. It's funny. You'll have to tell him that you're on this podcast. It's sponsored by Baby Loves Tacos in Pittsburgh. Because if he's
Oh,
from
is it
Pittsburgh,
really?
he might know Pittsburgh. I remember Picklesburg. It's one of the coolest events that city has,
Yeah.
because I love pickles too. And they have every kind of pickle and that you can imagine at
Every
this thing.
single time. It was
And
incredible.
then they have bands and performers. And so Atticus had a connection.
Yeah, so basically, he born and raised in Pittsburgh, lived there all the way up until college, still talks about coming back to Pittsburgh. He loves it so much. And I don't blame him, because I've been to Pittsburgh a few times now through him, and I absolutely love it too. And he basically, one of his older bands had played Picklesburg a few years ago. And the way that they did the submission process this year for bands is that they reached out to artists that they knew had played Picklesburg and sent them a submission form for any sort of band. So he was like, he's like, oh my gosh, like JVK at Picklesburg, we have to. I was like, yes, we have to. I was like, are you kidding? And it was hard convincing the band, because they're like, is it gonna be worth it? Like, is it gonna be this? Like, because like the way that it sounds, it almost sounds like it would be just like not anything crazy. But like when we got there, so we got the show, and I was like so excited. I was like, we're doing it. I don't care what anyone says. I'll find fill-ins for all of you if I have to. I'm playing Picklesburg. I was just like hell bent on. I don't care about the drive. I drove the entire way there and back.
8 hours.
Yep. No, literally. And we got there and they were all shocked, because there was like 5,000 people just roaming the streets. We were like, oh my God, we played to like 400 people. Like it was crazy.
Were you right on a bridge?
No, they didn't do it on the bridge this year. They did it on they kind of took like it was the oh my gosh, what's the name of the street?
I didn't say I didn't say the bridge. I said a bridge, because there's 104 of them, I think, in Pittsburgh. There's a lot of bridges.
I know the
insane.
bridge you're talking about though, because Atticus showed me pictures that they used to do it on a bridge, but they did it on like the Boulevard of Allies. They kind of did it like
Oh
on
yeah.
one of those, like a strip off that,
Yeah.
and it was like 5 blocks long. And then when it was like the pictures I have from it, just like for the people alone, it was like insane. It was crazy.
Wow. So how long did you stay in Pittsburgh, just for the gig and leave?
We got there the night before, played the gig, and then left the next day.
People are really friendly there, though. They probably surprised you how friendly they were.
Yeah, they were so nice. There were people just like up front, didn't know who we were. They were jamming. They were like having a great time. They're like, you need to come back to Pittsburgh. You need to come back. No, because one of my dream venues I want to play right now is Roboto. And like I've seen a few shows there, and it's such a cool spot. Like, and I like literally am telling them, I'm like, I want to go back to Pittsburgh solely just to play there.
Wow, that I don't know that room. That must be a relatively new room. I
Yeah,
haven't lived there for 4 years, so
okay. Yeah, I'm not sure how new the room is, but it's a sober space, all ages venue, kind of similar to
oh,
like the layout of O'Brien's, but it's a really, really cool spot, and the people who run it are all been super nice. And I've seen a few shows there now. Like I've seen, Agus play there with like some of his bands back in Pittsburgh, and everyone there is super nice. Like they rally all their friends, they rally new people, like they really pack the space, and everyone's just there to support each other. It's really cool.
so you played out there, and that was the furthest gig until Louisville, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But
Yeah.
before Pittsburgh, was it just Albany, or did you go further up upstate New York?
We went to Albany. We played in Rochester.
Okay,
Uh,
that's way up.
yeah, it's way up. That was
Yeah.
the farthest through upstate Albany that we had gone through. Um, and then like throughout New York, it was either like Albany or New York City. It was like the two different worlds of New York. It was pretty cool.
So you played gigs in New York City.
Oh yeah, I love it.
Wow. So I find you guys really interesting, because even though you're kind of a Boston band, you seem to have expanded yourself out of the scene. I think that's a brilliant way to
Thank
do
you.
it.
It really, especially after, when we just played Louder Than Life, we really talked about like expanding and just playing anywhere and everywhere. Like, because for me personally, it's like if I know, I'm like, if it's to play somewhere new, I really don't care how long the drive is. Like, I'll just do it.
We're going to
Especially,
talk about that next, because I watched some footage. The Louder Than Life Festival is in Louisville.
Mhm.
Um, You guys played on a bill with Green Day, Queens of the Stone Age, and Turnstile. They were there your day. That's pretty fantastic for a band that's below the radar, kind of. Well, now maybe you're a little more above the radar than you
Yeah.
were. How did you get on that festival?
So it's really interesting. So basically, we were chosen by Berklee College of Music to play Louder Than Life. And the way that it came about, so Berklee has a Berklee Popular Music Institute, and their whole thing is that each year they have connections to 7 or 8 different festivals, including the festivals ran by the promotion company Danny Wimmer Presents, which includes Louder Than Life, Incarceration, and then they also do like Lollapalooza, Osheaga. They do, and they basically take artists from different genres, choose them for a festival, and then bring them throughout this like boot camp of like you play them in front of the class that chooses you. And they really like fine tune your performance, the aspects of your performance, what you wear, how you move, transitions, and what you should do during this song, how you interact with your band. And it was truly incredible. And so basically the story behind that is that after our first show, someone within that music business class reached out to me. We were originally getting looked at for Incarceration, which was a metal festival. And I don't make metal music like really at all. So I thought it was pretty funny. And I
You
didn't
get a
know
little heavy sometimes.
we get a little heavy, but like it's pretty funny. But so they reached out to me and they were like, I'm part of the Berklee Popular Music Institute. We were looking at you for a metal festival. And I told the band, I was like, oh, this is cool, right? And they're like, no, that's huge. I didn't realize like the amplitude of how big it was. And so we didn't get chosen for that. They chose another band, which honestly makes a lot of sense. And they were like, keep playing shows. So that's when I started to book shows left and right, center, all over the place, just to get the practice, get really tight. And then that's how I met my manager, because my manager was part of that class. And we had reached out to each other to work with each other. She made a pitch for us to play Louder Than Life, and it worked. And then we got to play and go through that boot camp and everything. And it was like the craziest experience of my life,
You
for
got to
sure.
hold on to that manager.
I know. Trust me, I know.
So when you get down there, what was that like with all, did you get to see any of the other bands or meet any of the people in bands that were
Yeah,
there?
to me, it was really cool. So we kind of had, so we got there, we were able to just like chill for the Friday. Saturday, we had like GA passes. So we kind of just like hung out throughout the festival. From like an audience perspective, I was, using my networking brain and just talking to people and just, introducing myself to say like, I'm here tomorrow. Was recruiting people all over the place. There was one point where during someone's set, I crowd surfed for the first time, and then I got let down. And the dudes that let me down, I was like, "Come back here tomorrow, because I'm gonna be playing at this stage." They're like, "Oh yeah, like whatever." And yeah, no, it's a lot of networking, a lot of talking to people, a lot of I watched two of the bands. It was crazy. It's the biggest rock festival in the country, which is like incredible.
Were there any bands that really caught your attention?
Yeah, this one band, Silly Goose, they're from Atlanta, and they were incredible. I actually took some of like the stuff they were doing on stage because they had a like a huge crowd. They were really getting people moving. And I was like took some of their inspiration from their audience, from their set, kind of put it towards mine. They were really, really good. I was able to watch Turnstile for a little bit the next day too, and they're incredible, obviously. But yeah, no, those were the main ones that really caught my attention, which were really, really cool.
Wow. Well, I should have asked you this first, but how did you get down there? Did you guys drive to Louisville?
No, so through Berkeley, they also take care of transportation. So they flew us down. And we
Wow.
got a hotel and everything. It was so cool.
I love your manager.
I do too.
Whenever I could get a band plane tickets that I worked with to do shows, it's always great when you can just send them to the airport, and they don't have to get in the
Yeah,
van,
right.
or on a bus or whatever. Well, that's great. So you made a lot of contacts down there, and
Yeah.
yeah, I mean that's a good city. I'm not a huge fan of Kentucky, but Louisville's kind of a cool place.
It was kind of cool. I really did get to experience a lot of like the city because we obviously were just staying a lot within the festival, especially Sunday, we were there all day, all
Big
night.
college town.
Is it really?
Yeah,
I
Louisville.
didn't
Yeah,
realize that.
yeah.
We went to like one restaurant downtown, and I didn't really get to see much of it. My family did, which is cool, but I didn't.
Wow, that's great. So let's talk about your new EP.
Mhm.
Who is JVK? Everyone wants to know, right? Did you
Yeah.
record that with Ricky also?
Yes, so we actually did a mix of three of the songs, Dear Girl, Bleach and Chlorine, and All I Want. Those were recorded with Ricky, and then the other two, Grinding My Teeth and Odd, those were recorded at Blackbird Academy in Nashville, which was
What?
yeah.
Wow, who was on the session?
That was my friends David Takala and Max Gomez. So the way that we got that connection was I've been friends with my friend Max for years, and he had been like raving about going to Nashville and raving about, just wanting to be there and be in the city. He finally went to Blackbird Academy, and he told me he's like my final project is I have to record a band. I have to record like a few songs for an EP. Do you want to be that band? And I was like, hell to the yeah, I do. Are you kidding? And so I was able to get plane tickets for everyone through our band fund, and I was just like, we're going to Nashville. And everyone was like, okay, we're like, no one really questioned it. And then so we went. We played in this is the farthest I actually went for a show, not Picklesburg, but we played in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, at this punk house.
I know Murfreesboro.
Yeah, it was so cool. It was like it's still one of my like top like 5 favorite shows to date. Like it was just there was like 70, 80 kids just packed in this living room, just all losing their mind, like to our sound. Like that was so
So
cool.
you have played, I don't want to, I have to correct you. You have played further away than Pittsburgh because you
Yes,
played in
that was my
Tennessee.
bad. I almost forgot about that for a second. But yeah, no, that was the farthest we had gone for a show.
I'm confused about something though. Which members of your band actually were there, and did they play on the record too? Any of them?
It's pretty funny. Are we talking about the Murfreesboro show?
Well, you said that you guys flew down there.
Mhm.
Were there other members of your current band that actually played in the session?
Yes. So we had Sid, Alex, Troy, and then one of our older guitarists that's not in the band anymore. They all played on Grinding My Teeth, and And then when we recorded with Ricky, it was kind of like a modge podge of like different people because Ricky played on some, and then Troy and Alex did too. Atticus played on all of them, and then Kayla also played on all of them. And then Sid has been going back and forth due to a hand injury. They've been like picking up on synth, so they played synth on some of the songs too.
Everything's only available digitally right now, correct?
Yes, but
Is
we're working on it because we've had ideas. We've had a few people ask us to do like CDs and stuff like that and vinyls. I really don't know. I need to do the research and think of the process for it. But as of right now, it's only available digitally.
if I get a vote, I vote for vinyl. But
I would love to do vinyl. That would be amazing. It was so cool.
I don't know why I should get a vote, but I also see that you guys are on the site Deezer. I don't even know anything about that site. What is that?
It's one of those other, it's like, so through a distributor, they put us on like any single possible store, like digital store where you can buy music, and Deezer was one of them. It's one of the, I think it's more of like an underground thing. I'm not sure,
Mhm.
like it's definitely not as popular as Spotify, but there's definitely probably a few more even below Deezer that I don't even know about. But it's like, it's essentially the same thing as Spotify.
Now, you said you're 20.
Hmm.
I just absolutely love your enthusiasm
Thank
about
you.
this. You're like, how did you figure all of this stuff out on your own? I'm amazed. Were your parents in bands or something? Is there something you're not telling me?
No, I'm the black sheep of my family. My dad and my brother are both scientists, and my mom used to be a pastry chef, and now she's a purchasing manager. There's creativity there, but not in the same way musically. So I just had to kind of make my way, bob and weave, try different things. But I'm getting the hang of it. I'm getting better at it, but I still have a lot to learn, obviously.
Do you have some sort of a musical guru that you look up to? I remember when I was like 16 and I figured out that Freddie Mercury was the coolest guy in the world and I started
Yeah.
jamming the Queen. Was there anyone like that for you that, hit you so hard that you're like, I want to follow in their footsteps, so I want to do that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think for me, it's more of like a lyrical thing. Like when I see like the things that excite me the most when it comes to music from a creative perspective is lyrics. And when I'm listening to a song, I'm so in tune with what they're saying. And when I hear like kind of like that wordplay, I get excited and I get motivated to kind of like, encouraged to kind of think outside the box with that. So when it comes to that, I would say, like funny enough, I don't make music that's anything like her, but Lana Del Rey, I
Hmm.
like lyrically, I think is a genius. It's just so, so good. And she has this like sense of wordplay and like, that's so like beautifully equipped. And I think of it and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm like, I need to write like this. And I really need to put that through, my perspective. And so that's been like my musical guru there.
When you listen to music, do you stream or do you have vinyl or CDs? How do you listen to music?
I have, funny enough, I have one vinyl and it's an old Lana Del Rey album that's not anywhere on streaming platforms. And but I mostly stream. I do Spotify.
Spotify. Is there
Yeah.
anything else you're listening to that you like these days?
Yeah, I've been actually, it's all over the place. I've been listening to Zach Bryan, a lot of Zach Bryan. I've been listening to, like every time someone asks me that question, I'm always like, what am I listening to? It's like every single thought just like blanks my head. Oh, Turnstile. I've been listening to a lot of Turnstile recently. Um, Even a little bit of like Taylor Swift, Mac DeMarco, um, Cage the Elephant. Love Cage the Elephant. Toadies. It's really all over the place, like everywhere. But yeah, it's a lot of different influences. So that's why I write the way I write.
Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
What about Olivia Rodrigo? You like her too?
I do like her. I think she's honestly like, I think it's cool because she's kind of has that it's almost like I would honestly consider it closer to pop punk than it is just like solid pop because she kind of has those influences. I was even hearing throughout her songs she has like the Wurlitzer like going. She has like those different influences going on, which I thought was like super super cool.
So what's next for JVK?
Oh my gosh, I'm going in the studio with Ricky in the middle of next month to start writing an album. I don't know when it's coming out. I don't even know when it's going to be, when the first song is going to be done, but that's definitely there. We're gonna be keep playing shows, hopefully on some more festivals next year, and just keep going and keep growing.
Well, the way you've organically built this is great because I found you that way, and I really dig what you're doing, and I'm a fan. So I'm rooting for you hard.
Thank you so much. I
Get
appreciate
a
it.
van and get a van and get out there because you're the kind of person that we need out there on the road, just telling the stories, man. You know.
Thank you. That's what I need. I mean, right now I have a Honda Passport and that thing's huge. It's ginormous. I like drive it thinking I'm like the king of the hill. But like, but a van, I need a van. I almost want to record this and show my family and say, look, I need a van. Like,
It's old school. I know. I'm an old school thinker,
no, but
but
I want a van so bad. I see myself just traveling the world in just like a huge van and just keep playing shows until, I
I
croak.
think you got it, man. Go for it.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
All right.